Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Real Deal Pod with Allister and Geoff. It is a sunny, oh my goodness, a sunny Wednesday afternoon. Sunny, Geoff. It's sunny. I can't stop saying that. It's sunny. Now, it is a little cool. It is a little cool outside. And so what that does is it actually warms my Manitoba heart, warms my Winnipeg heart. Because when you live in Winnipeg, when it's bright and sunny like this outside in the wintertime, it is some of the fiercest cold you'll ever meet outdoors.
I still remember to this day coming back from Cuba years and years ago, where we were coming back to Manitoba
Yeah,
and looked like a gorgeous day. There was minus 40 with the wind.
man. It's nice, right? The bright and sun is a cloudless sky. It's beautiful. It fools you. You think, man, it's got to be what, +7, +8 out there? No, man. It's a smack in the face.
Oh,
But with that being said, welcome back. It is beautiful. It is sunny. It's a little bit cool, but it is hot here with the information that Geoff and I have to share with you today. Geoff, my man,
scorching
right?
hot.
Buddy, how you
I'm
doing,
doing
man?
good. The weather is fantastic. We're on hump day. We're on top of the hill, ready to come down it now, ready for the weekend. It's been an interesting week, and
You've been busy already?
yes, we our phone has been ringing again. Lots of people talking about or asking questions about all the new mortgage rules that are coming out in 2025.
Yeah.
And we'll touch on those in the coming weeks. Just to refresh everybody on it. We're getting a lot of people motivated by doing pre-approvals or getting their pre-approvals updated. It just seems like it's that time of year, right? So which is great. Which
It's awesome, man. That's awesome. It's the time to do the information gathering now, right? Best time to do it is at the beginning of the year. Get your journey started off right. Get your information now and get started, right? No time like the future. No time like the present. I was almost going to say the future, but that would have been wrong. Oh man, no, I've been busy too, actually. Like I said, I was out yesterday, day before, had showings at my listings previous. It's been busy, but it's actually a carryover from December, which is leading now and going to lead into now the Did You Know segment, because did you know real estate is not as bad as what everybody thinks it was, right? It's actually super interesting. I wanted to take a look at the big picture, right? So I want to look at it not just from the Fraser Valley market or the Metro Vancouver market. I wanted to look at it from both markets as a whole, because both markets saw an uptick in sales, especially in December. We were up 31%,
over the
right?
year before.
Yeah, which again, I know we've always been talking about 10-year lows and all that sort of stuff, but the fact of the matter is, coming out of COVID now, we can only go on again the year before, because COVID change was such a disruption, right? We can only look at last year now. So the fact that we are seeing progress is showing that we've now slowly started to regain buyer confidence, right? There's confidence in the market in general. So it shows that there's pent up demand. I was going to ask you though, what do you think is driving that? Do you think it is mortgage rates? Do you think what do you think it is?
I think it's an accumulation of things. When we are taking a look at the last bank or the last five Bank of Canada meetings, we've seen the overnight lending rate drop. We have another Bank of Canada meeting come here January 29th. The
Yeah,
expectation is that it's going to drop again. I think that instills confidence in people. I also think when the media kind of breaks a little bit on the fear mongering and
yeah,
things such as that, I think people get confident in that. And when they start seeing their network starting to jump into purchasing or being a little bit more comfortable talking about like state, also makes people feel a little bit more confident. But such a roller coaster ride, Alistair, where people's emotions, you talk to them one weekend, it's
yeah.
super positive. You talk to them 10 days later, all of a sudden the world's falling down again. So it seems like it's just been, for the last 2 years, it's just been an up and down conversation of pros. Like if you take a look, you listen to our previous pods, we talk about is always highs and the lows, and it seems like it's every second pod. It seems like we're hearing different things, right? So
Yeah, and it's true, but I really believe that this year we are looking at a broad regional recovery. Again, we were talking, going back to what we were saying when we listen to previous pods, right? Some we were saying, oh, it's slow. Some we were saying, oh, it's we're going to be seeing record breaking numbers come
yeah,
spring. We may not, again, we don't have that crystal ball, right? We can only go off of the information basically that we have right now to make those predictions in the future. So when I've started to take a look at the grand scheme of things, no, am I a big believer now of, are we going to have record breaking numbers come springtime? Absolutely not. But do I see a broad recovery of the market? You bet I do, because right, you've just if you switch over to the categories, right, and break down the market, one thing that stood out across both regions was townhomes. That market jumped by 55.9%
the upside.
on the upside.
Yeah,
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 yeah. So I mean, that is, and in fact, both and in fact, it's not just in sales. So they saw an increase in sales of 55.9%, and also saw an increase in pricing, right? So their value increased, right? So that just shows you right there that in a time, right, where the sky was falling and craziness, and people were saying you can't buy, you can't afford to, rates are too high, this is happening, that's happening, right? Townhomes, they still perform. Townhomes still, they still purchase, right? So
do you think there's a discussion there that why townhouses are performing well versus say detached homes or condos? Because
yeah,
detached homes, as far as the affordability, is a little bit out of reach, where condos as a family you kind of want to stay away from if able, and thus the reason
yeah,
townhomes and just their affordability.
that that's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's definitely the key, because what townhomes now offer is a lower price point to gain entry, and it allows families still more space,
Yeah.
right? Because if you two bedroom, two bathroom condos don't, you're not maxing out at 922 square feet, but even if you're looking at the majority of the new builds, right, you're looking at about 900 square feet, 950 square feet if you're lucky. If you're going to have to go older builds, right, in order to get that north of 1,000 square foot for your town, for your condo. So now it's a lot easier to buy something newer, right, get your square footage and still remain in that affordability by purchasing a townhome. So that's truly what I believe drove that kind of 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I'm curious, how are condos performing? How are detached homes performing? Um, because I'm kind of curious, like if townhomes are up 50%,
Yeah.
I think
Well,
you said the overall market is up 30%. So that means there's some strength on those other
yeah.
two types of properties as well.
Well, townhomes saw a 2%, or on townhome, sorry, single family story saw a gain about 2%. So their
Over the year
average,
before.
yeah, over the year before. So their average listing was about 2 million goals, 1.997, right? So that was the average listing, and saw a gain of 2%.
Well, so the average listing of a detached home is roughly around $2 million ish.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
$2 million ish. Yeah,
Dude, I feel really good when I bought mine for about 275.
right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And then for condos, hold on, I'm looking. It was 18.7%.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where I see you saw that, again, sky is falling, sky is falling. Well, you saw three categories that had plus swings,
Yeah.
right? And it was just a matter of people, I think, to a matter of people having to reconcile um what their dreams maybe had to look like, and maybe
And
had to understand that they had to make some shifts, had to make some sacrifices, had to make some changes, right?
and the report we're referencing, is that for 2024 or is that just
Yeah,
for
this is
December?
2024. This is 2024 and December. So
Okay.
it was, yeah, this is why I don't have Chilliwack in there, because the Chilliwack gives such, I'm sorry, Chilliwack Real Estate Board, you are just the worst in in your statistics. They were about up 4%, I believe it was, across the board.
As you say that, I'm just thinking about the hockey game that I was at, and the ref makes a bad call,
Uh,
and all of a sudden you hear the crowd chanting, "You suck!"
yeah,
But
the
like you said,
Chilliwack
no
board.
offense to the Chilliwack
No
Real
offense
Estate
to the
Board.
Chilliwack board, they're just they do not give as much information as the Vancouver and Fraser Valley board. So, and I'm part of the, and I'm proud to say part of the Fraser Valley board, which is the #1 board actually in Canada, I believe we are. It's
Wow.
amazing. A lot of our stuff is taken out of here and shown on to the other provinces.
Right. So to sum it up, is for the year 2024,
Yeah.
our real estate market was up 30 some odd percent.
Yep.
And that was 50 some odd percent in townhomes, 2% in
In
detached
sing
homes, and
and
around
18.
30 or 18% in condos.
Yep. About that. Yeah. Yeah. So really what I wanted to wrap that up in the key takeaways is both GVR, the Greater Vancouver market, and Fraser Valley market, really, guys, are showing super strong sales and rising prices and more listings as we move into 2025. So this is where, again, with lower mortgage rates expected, we're likely to see more buyers. And I was speaking to somebody. It was my client. So my client Bobby, I'm going to give you credit with this comment. We were out viewing a property together, and he was saying, he goes, Allister, somebody told me one time. He said, when it's quiet, be greedy,
Yeah. And
and
when you're greedy, be
and
fearful. Warren Buffett.
and yeah, yeah, and so when things are quiet, be greedy, and when things are allowed,
Be quiet.
don't be greedy. Yeah, be quiet, right? And that's and so and that and it's quiet. So things are quiet, right? Nobody's really talking about real estate per se. Most people are talking just, oh yeah, mortgage rates here and there. So it makes you feel like there's nothing going on, where in fact we are now seeing rising prices, rising inventory, because yes, it's been quiet, right? And everybody has been doing things quietly, right?
I
So
think Warren Buffett put it this way: when fearful, be greedy. When greedy, be fearful.
be fearful.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah, so really, guys, it's important. I've spoken with my clients, that I've been, that my personal clients that I speak with on a constant basis. And I said to them a long time ago, we needed a runway because of all the things changing so quickly, right? From month to month. It's really important, everybody listening out there. If you don't have somebody, to have that runway of time to have those discussions with, find one, right? Because things change. So you need to start your planning now so that you're not caught. And I know we say that a lot, but it's because it's the truth, right? I live by the motto of, smart people learn from the mistakes of others, stupid people learn from their own. So I learn from the mistakes of others. That's why I listen to other people and I follow other people. I don't want to sit there and say, you know what, I should have listened to somebody else on that one.
I think they call that wisdom.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. So
Hey,
just,
Alistair, but before we
yeah,
jump into our
to you.
pod topic of this week, which is home insurance,
Yeah.
I know we were kind of talking about our last pod, and I
Ah,
wanted to clarify, or wanted you to clarify like the overall
yeah.
underlining
So I
message
think
that we
Geoff,
were trying
yeah.
to
So
say,
I
because
think,
we felt that we lost it a
yeah,
little bit.
I know. I think Jeff, you felt like you felt like that we got kind of lost in the middle. So I know you didn't get what I was saying. That the 4 categories that were going to be impactful, right? That were going to be impactful, that nobody's talking about, but that were going to play a role, no matter the busyness or the craziest of the market, but these are going to provide fundamental shifts in our living, right? Starting 2025 and beyond. And we spoke about it because we have the eco villages that are just beginning.
And as the quote you said, as far as when it's quiet, be
Right.
greedy. These are the
Right.
types of properties that are quiet.
If you're in a right, that are quiet. And if you're an investor, and if you're if an investor or a first-time buyer, especially because these are affordable options to even look into that are going to generate a lot of growth in the future because they're at their inception, right? These are amazing vehicles for first-time buyers and investors to explore into, right? So thank you, Geoff, for making me add on to that one. But yeah, these eco villages, the senior living, the high-rise living, and now the laneway has the vertical living, I beg your pardon, and the laneway housing, right? Laneway housing, as we know, has been around for a while now, but vertical living especially, right? That is right now, right? We spoke about it last pod with Burnaby, the tallest building, right, in BC, right, is going to be in Burnaby.
And even with
So
this eco living, it's not popular, air quotes,
no,
but it could
yes,
become very popular. And as an
it,
investor or as
yes,
a buyer, if you can
yeah,
get into something that is projected to explode at an
right.
introductory price,
Right.
this is where we were going with that
These
last part.
it is, and these are
Yeah.
true vehicles to explore. And this is why I'm saying I'll be busy because yes, my clients and I like these are the categories that I dive deeper into. Just not just a single family home, not just a condo, not just a townhome, not just the manufactured, right? But what other elements within these categories are there, right? That we should be looking at. So yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump
Let's get
into.
into it because home insurance falls into those types of things, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. And two things before we get into that, I want to share a couple questions that some of our clients had this week. And I think it's important just to always do this gentle reminder on when people are asking us questions. When we're doing this for every day, all day, sometimes we just forget that some of this knowledge that we have isn't necessarily common knowledge. So I wanted to kind of share one thing that jumped out at me dealing with a client conversation that we had is that this individual wanted to buy an investment property. And basically, when we're asking about, how much do you have for a down payment, she was saying, well, I'm looking at a $600,000 property and I have $60,000 down. So, the immediate thing I said to her as well, if you are purchasing something as an investment property that is going to get you rental income, you're going to need a minimum of 20% down, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to just again, it's such a thing that we do every day is that hey, if there's an investment property and there's going to be rental income, it's an automatic 20%
Matic.
down. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there that don't know that and they feel, hey, I want to buy an investment property and I only have 5% down
Yeah.
because I'm a first time home buyer, right? Or
Yeah.
I have 10% down. So, folks, if you are looking to buy an investment property that has rental income, you need a minimum of
20% down.
20% down. And
And
again, go ahead.
sorry, let me tag on to that, Geoff, because I was going to say, um, I actually took for granted that every realtor should know that. In all honesty, I really did. And so funny enough, it was, I think, a few weeks ago now, I got in touch with a new client of mine that was dealing with a previous agent, and that previous agent had told them they only needed 10% down um, for an investment property, and I was telling them, no, you don't. And I said, yeah, and I said you need 20. So what, it didn't become contentious, but I just kept saying, and they were adamant because they'd been told. And I said, listen, I said, okay, I want you to do me a favor. I said, take it back to your person, or I will put you in touch with mine. They took it back to their person, Jeff. Sorry, because I said I'll put you in touch with mine, and they're the authority. They'll let you know. Lo and behold, they came back and they said I apologize. They said I apologize profusely. Now, why am I their realtor? Probably for life now, because I was able to make sure they had that correct information. So again, don't take for granted that your realtor knows what they're talking about. I know that we're sitting here and I'm a realtor and I'm telling you I know what I'm talking about. Um, um, I always tell people though, Google what I say, verify what I say, right? Please verify what your realtor says, because you could be getting some misleading information and that could lead you down a horrible path.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well said. Home insurance. Why do
Yeah,
you
man.
need it? Why do you
Oh
need it?
my God, you need it.
So, the reason why I got talking about home insurance was actually from a story that I was talking, not a story, a life event that my partner was sharing with me. And she was telling me that a longtime friend of hers, healthy as a horse, all of a sudden contracted cancer. And basically, in this particular case, we're not talking about home insurance, but in this particular case, she had extended health benefits or
Yeah,
extended health insurance. And again, this lady was very well prepared. She had critical illness, she had disability insurance, like she had all the insurances that people um, are talked to about, but she also had extended health. And I was just putting myself into this situation and I'm thinking to myself, 1 out of 3 people are going to are going to get a critical illness of some sort, right?
yeah,
But what failed to me was like, I don't have extended health insurance. So if I would, if I was to get cancer, sure, I would have critical uh, insurance, but I don't have an insurance that would cover my medical needs in regards to um, whatever that might look like. So it kind of led me to talk about something that's in my own sandbox of home insurance, really, because if you don't have it, you might think you're going to have all the coverage you need, but you might be missing a piece that is really going to be very, very um, costly if you don't have it. And when we
yeah,
talk about even extended health insurance, is that she was sharing with me is that there was some treatment that she needed to undergo, or medication that she needed, which was up to $6,000, right? So
yeah.
again, you don't have the insurance. Where does that money come from? That money comes from out of pocket.
Pocket. Yeah, yeah,
And
yep.
again, which led me to like, you know what? Number one, folks, if you don't have extended health insurance, go and get it.
Yes,
I'm going to
please.
go and get it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
which that leads to what we're going to talk about, is about having home insurance for your property,
yeah.
right?
Because I think too, we all have those stories that we know somebody that have an incident where they didn't have proper coverage within their home insurance, and it did not end up well for them. I know I've got a couple with clients, and even a client of mine, they're not a client yet, but they will become one. They're renting, so I just keep in touch with them. We have that little relationship because they're on a journey, right? They're on a path and they're working their way towards ownership. Um, One of the issues that they got into problems was they were renting and didn't have proper content insurance,
Yeah,
and things went awry.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, man. So yeah,
So
man,
I
you
think
got into it, man. You go ahead.
I think the one thing to always remember is that as a condition for financing, regardless if you're purchasing a condo or a townhouse, one of those conditions for that financing is to have strata insurance, which is going to be accompanied through the strata, and not necessarily something that you as the borrower need to obtain. So again, you always have to have an insurance policy in place if you're buying a strata unit, which is going to be coming from your strata corp, right? So it's all part of your strata corporation and what they do. But also when buying a detached home, that you're also having insurance, and that is going to be a condition of the mortgage. So there are some types of insurance that everybody needs to have and is going to have. But I wanted to talk about some of those insurances that you don't have that basically can really kind of be very, very costly if something was to happen. Now, why do people get insurance, Allister? You know, why do you think people get it? It's really to protect their property against the crazy stuff,
Property
right? Like
that can
fires,
happen. Fires,
water,
earthquakes, yeah, water damage,
earthquakes.
earthquakes, yeah,
You know, take a
whatever.
look at what's going down in California,
In Los Angeles, oh
right?
my goodness, those poor people. I feel for them, man. Awful. It's awful.
So again, home insurance, you do need it for those natural disasters, right?
Sorry. Yeah, and never mind, sorry, and just never mind LA, but think about what typically happens up north, right? As we
Kennebunk,
go
Fort
further north.
McMurray, yeah,
Exactly, right? So,
Lillooet,
yeah,
or Lytton.
I
Is it
mean,
Lytton or
yeah,
Lillooet?
Lytton, Lytton,
Yeah, Lytton,
Lytton
right?
that went down twice in one year, in one summer, but lit up twice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So again, why need insurance? Because again, it protects your property against natural disasters, right?
yeah.
Also, to your point with your renter clients, it covers personal belongings. Now, it's always important that this is one of those extra pieces of insurance that people need to get. It's called content insurance, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have it, and say, for example, you have structural insurance, and we'll talk about condos, and somebody's dishwasher explodes up, you know, in the unit above you,
Yeah.
basically leaks down, destroys the drywall, destroys the carpets, destroys everything else, but basically also destroys all your personal belongings. Sure, yes, you're going to have the strata insurance that's going to
Yeah.
cover and protect the property, but every part of your household good that's damaged, if you don't have that content insurance, that's
It's
out of
not covered.
pocket and loss.
Right. And that's the big one, I think, that people don't realize. It's just, I've got insurance. So if anything happens, everything's covered.
Yeah,
Nuh-uh. Yeah. That's the big one. Yeah.
yeah.
Or maybe there's
And
bigger. I always assume that that's the biggest miss, I think, with people is the content insurance, as I always feel.
right, and I think a lot of people don't buy insurance because they don't want that additional monthly cost,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And again, I think content insurance to me is one of those no-brainers. And if it hasn't happened to you, I can probably guarantee it's happened to somebody within your network, right? There's probably a
100%.
1 degree of separation where you
Yeah.
know of somebody where they
Yep.
didn't have content insurance or insurance of some kind and suffered a huge financial cost because they didn't have it. Now, I'm not saying that you should have every type of insurance out there, but there is definitely content insurance, in my opinion, is one of them, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Liability protection, again, you're having a New Year's party, you know, everybody is doing the new jig, and someone slips, breaks their leg. All of a sudden, if you don't have that liability insurance, you could be sued. So it happens. We see a lot of that actually down in the States. It seems like everybody is suing everybody down
That
here.
well, that yeah, because that's been the oldest one in the book, man. The slip and falls and stuff like that. Crazy. Actually, I've always thought about how does that work with realtor with when you have a home and you're having showings done at your property, and let's say somebody slips and falls on your property while a showing's happening, right? How does the insurance work there? It's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. As a
Yeah.
realtor, we should know this. I don't know.
Well, I know we have our own insurance,
Yeah,
right? But I don't know I know it has our insurance that I think it partially protects our clients as well, but I don't know what on the other side, what protection on the other side. So if they didn't have slip and fall, right, insurance, if they could go after. So it's an interesting thing not having not being covered. It's to me just if you have a property, if you have a home, why wouldn't you want to cover everything and anything in it? Like just the entirety of it. That's just always been my mentality, right? A low cost is better than paying the whole thing outright if something did happen.
right. So it gives you the peace of mind if you have it,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
why wouldn't you do it? And again, I find that most people don't do it because of what it costs to do
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
So the types of insurance, I just kind of wanna kind of go through the types of insurance. There's what they call a comprehensive or an all risk, right? This is the type of policy that basically protects your home and your personal belongings against
That's
all
the one I
risks.
got.
Is that the one you got?
That's what I got.
Um,
I,
you know,
I literally say when no joke, I just say, give me the one that covers me on everything. That's how I do my insurance.
yeah,
I'm crazy. Yeah.
there's a basic coverage, which is again a more affordable option, right?
Yeah.
That policy covers specific risks, specifically such as fire, theft, and vandalism. There's a broad coverage, which is a hybrid between basic and comprehensive. There's a no frill coverage. Now, this is typically more of an expensive type of insurance for older homes and properties with structural issues. Now, keep in mind, again, if you are purchasing a home, I'm just working on a file, actually worked on a file on a mobile home that didn't have insurance because of structural issues.
Okay.
And they had to get a no frill coverage to get the insurance in order to get the financing on it. And they had to do it. The only way that they could do it was through a no frill coverage because the age of the home, the type of the home, and it did have structural issues. So it typically is a temporary solution, offers minimal coverage. But again, if you are having a type of property that is older, has structural issues, or again, it's the type of property, there is coverage that you can get. But again, it's important that you know that it's out there. And
Yeah.
even using this particular lady, she had to go, I think, to about 4 different insurance brokers until she actually found a broker that could find her a no frill coverage, right?
Wow.
So again, it goes back to just because someone is telling you no, keep on asking until you basically can get someone to tell you a yes, right?
Keep digging.
And usually my go-to is 3 and then I'll stop. But she had to go to I think 4 um, before she could find it. It was a very unique property in a very unique location, and again, just wasn't in the most marketable condition that you could do, right? And then the other type of insurance, which we talked about, is your strata insurance, which
Right.
comes when you're purchasing a strata home, townhouse, condo. They will have the strata will have their insurance, and again, that's the structural insurance. It basically insures your unit, it insures the property, but again, doesn't cover the contents. Right?
Contents. Yeah. Yeah.
And lastly, we could talk about this all day, but insurance is boring.
Yes.
Keep in mind, depending on where you live, you might need what they call endorsements or riders for unique kind of
Yeah.
insurances. Jewelry, right? I know a client that has a watch collection, probably over $175,000 of watches. Your basic home insurance is not going to cover that. Your basic content insurance is not going to cover that.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get what they call an endorsement or a rider that's going to cover the full value of that particular or of those watches, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That's
home
the insurance you have to get if you've got like a Mona Lisa, because too many people were saying when they had an issue, oh, geez, my Mona Lisa got stolen. Oh, here, let me replace a new one. So now,
Yeah.
now they literally make you, if you have a Mona Lisa, you have to get actual coverage for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, you have to get coverage if you special coverage if you live in certain areas like
Yeah.
British Columbia,
Yeah.
earthquakes and flooding.
Yeah.
These aren't necessarily mandatory insurance coverages that you need to get here in British Columbia. They're optional, right? So again, if you just because you have home insurance that you got when you got your mortgage, and all of a sudden Richmond suffers a fault zone or whatever you call those things, a crack, and then there's huge earthquakes in there. If you don't have earthquake insurance, you are not covered, right?
Okay, let me ask you a question, Jeff. So
Sure.
so when somebody's getting financing, right, on let's say a condo, right? And you know how we have to And they're always asking for the strata's insurance. And
Yeah.
if the strata doesn't have appropriate earthquake insurance, right, then a lot of times we start getting a hassle on there, a lot of times on the lending, right?
Yeah.
So why, like, why is it like that?
Yeah, Coast Capital used to require earthquake insurance on all their mortgages, regardless of where you were located, right?
Okay.
They
Yeah.
now have changed that policy, but it comes down to a risk assessment. It comes down to a risk tolerance. It comes down to what they are comfortable with if they are going to lend you money. Now, say,
Okay.
for example, back in the day where you required earthquake insurance to do a mortgage with Coast Capital, and that earthquake insurance was up to $1,500, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas another lender didn't require the earthquake insurance, and they were totally fine with it because they just assessed the risk a little bit differently, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So same thing with the question to your strata insurance. There may be a lender that requires this earthquake content or rider within that strata insurance, whereas maybe another lender does not,
Okay.
right?
So let's take Coast Capital for example, that needed it on all condos and stuff like that. So let's say they were giving lending on a single family home, right? We know that earthquake insurance is optional, right? Were they making you take it out on a single
Yes.
family home as well? Okay,
So
that's what.
back
Okay,
back in the day,
yeah,
and I'm talking detached homes, back in the day, and
yeah,
not any longer, Coast Capital required any mortgage that was here in the Lower Mainland to basically have earthquake insurance,
okay,
right?
okay, yeah,
So whereas other lenders did not.
right.
So again, I just use the strata as an example to
No,
to
no,
your
it's
question,
yeah, no,
right?
I get it. It's just always interesting to me how like somebody can get approved easier, right, on a single family home not dealing with earthquake insurance as opposed to they strata not having earthquake insurance and somebody getting or not getting their lending financed because of that, right?
And sometimes it falls onto the lender, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
not necessarily the building, or it really falls under what that lender's condition is
yeah,
in order for that individual to get the financing on that particular type of property, right?
right,
So
right.
I always say again, that's another plug by using a broker. And I
Yep.
don't mean to throw Coast Capital under the bus here, but
No,
you know,
everybody
uh,
needs there needs to be an example. It's not the
yeah.
example is not bad. It's not
And,
saying anything poor about them.
and not to say, and the policy now has changed, right? So I'm
Right.
just
Yeah.
using Coast Capital of yesterday. But
Yeah.
if you were strictly working with Coast Capital, trying to find financing on that particular property and earthquake insurance wasn't available, all of a sudden your approval just turned to a decline.
Right.
And if you were working with a bank mobile specialist, which they call themselves mobile brokers, sorry, they're not, because if you only have one choice of lender selection, you're not a broker, you're a banker, right? But again, as a broker, we have up to 40 different financial institutions where
Yeah.
we can basically get approval from. So, say for example, yesterday's Coast Capital, where earthquake insurance was a condition of the mortgage, if that was unable to do, or the borrower just didn't want to incur the cost of doing it, then we would have to go to a different lender that didn't require it. So again, that's a plug for why people should use a broker, because again, some lenders that are just represented by one person, and their only lending option is Coast Capital or TD or Scotiabank or whomever it is.
Mhm.
If it doesn't fit their policies as a condition to the mortgage, then it's a dead stop. Whereas if you use a broker, again, they can use alternate sources of lenders, that's in their toolbox, right?
Yeah, and I agree. And I would say, I just, from my own personal experience, I tell this to my clients. When I bought my very first home, I went to BMO, who I started banking with when I first got my bank account. And I banked with them my whole life. And I went to them for a mortgage, and they told me no. And I still, no offense to Bank of Montreal, I still bank with them. I love them to death. My mortgage loan is not through them because I went somewhere else. I went to a broker and got a mortgage, right? And so yes, I am somebody that it always professes, do not go to somebody that can just offer you one thing. That's crazy talk. That just doesn't make sense.
So again, circling this back to insurance,
Yes.
your policy may need to be tailored for the province that you're in. It may need to be tailored for the type of contents that you have. But at the end of the day, the moral of the story here is get insurance. You may not need every type of insurance, but make sure that you work with an expert. Let them know what you have. Let them know what you need. Basically, always get 3 quotes, right? And always just kind of make sure that you are set up as you need to be. And throwing myself under the bus, not necessarily with insurance, but extended health insurance. It's something that as soon as I heard that was a little bit closer to home, my light bulb went on and said, you know what, that is something that I need. And I consider myself very, very healthy. So,
Yep. No, well said, Geoff. I 1,000,000,000% agree. I'm of the, I believe, I have the belief that I love my stuff, so I protect it. That's, in all honesty, that's how I live. That's why I have insurance. I also, previous life, used to very moons ago, worked as a sales guy for Future Shop and used to sell extended warranty. And also understand the true value actually in that in some cases. There are cases where you don't need it, but so that's why I believe, if you love something that you've purchased, insure it, man, because stuff could happen to it and you don't want to pay the full cost to replace it. I will give a little bit of on extended warranty quickly. So I bought my MacBook Air. Okay, listen, people, I believe in buying extended warranty on everything. I did not buy it on my MacBook Air. It's the only time I didn't do it. This is no joke. Only time I didn't do it. I brought it home, right, to this very desk I'm sitting at here. I'm I'm sitting there. I have a clock on that sits on top of my desk here, and I knocked the clock. It dropped awkwardly and smashed the corner of my screen, and I had to go pay $600 to have a new screen put into my MacBook. Whereas if I paid the extra, what was it, $150 or $200, right? They would have just given me all. I just would have gotten all the screen. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I learned my own lesson from not following my literal way of life. My literal way of life, I deviated from, and that happened. So protect your stuff if you love it.
yeah, exactly. Especially your home and your health.
Exactly. All right, man. Well, is that it?
That's it.
All right, man. Well, that's episode 40. Holy cow, man. That was 40 of them. Well, we cannot wait to have you guys back here for episode 41. As always, Geoff and I are so appreciative of you guys taking the time to listen to us. Please continue to love us, like us, and share us. And make sure, again, provide your comments. We love to listen. We love to hear. We love to get better for you. And as always, we are doubling down 2025 on delivering you guys as much value as we possibly can. Because, guys, it's going to be a crazy 2025. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So with that being said, Geoff, stay empowered. Stay empowered. Stay informed. And most importantly, Geoff,
stay in tune.
Stay tuned. That's right, baby. We'll chat later, guys. Bye now.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too. Bye, guys. That was good.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the better ones, man. That was super conversational the whole way through. I think that was good.
A long one, though. That was like about 45 plus minutes.
Shit, I thought we were running long, too. That's why I was going to try to speed up the insurance part, because I knew the insurance part was starting to get lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever. It's 45. People fine.
Hey, you just got to provide content, right?
That's what it is, man. It's just providing content. How far they listen, how long they listen. As long as they listen, that's all that matters, right?
How's our reach? Is that getting better, or?
Yeah, and every year. Oh wait, you know what? I actually haven't looked at it as well. I'll let you know. I'll pull it up when I'm doing the podcast together.
I'll shoot you an email. I want what you got going on back there. I think it would be good for both of us having it.
Yeah, man.
As far as even for your marketability, when you're doing your stuff, right?